So I just have another quick thought. Like, we did this pattern and it looks kind of interesting, but the cool thing about these patterns is that it has a certain degree of control to it. And this is a very simple exercise. You're going to learn how to eliminate patterns and sort of create gradients and stuff. We'll talk about those as time goes by, but with this one, I need it to get a little more dense. Some of your patterns are more dense, and so you can already see what I'm getting at. But if I increase the numbers here, so let me change the subdivisions here to say 30 as a max. And you guys don't have to match this exactly. If you just look at it, you'll get the idea. And then let's go to 25 first. Can change these subdivisions. Okay, there we go. So what I'm getting at here is that depending on how you build your pattern, you can actually create some really interesting geometric sequences. You know, this has sort of like a diagonal thing going on here. That's really kind of interesting. However, if I reduce my vertical count to something that's a direct map of the number of values I have in my pattern, or a direct multiple, say, I think would be 9. Would it be 9? Because then it would have an index. It might have to be 11, actually. I have a multiple of 5. It's usually 1 off. It's either 11 or 9 that's going to give it a straight line. So if I even just change the count in the vertical direction, or the direction of the pattern, by 1, it just totally changes it. Let me go back down to 9 and see if that was it. There you go. So you can do, sequences that go straight across. Also, if you have unflattened or grafted information, you could do this with that as well. But the sky's the limit here, really, with these patterns, and there are so many other things that I can teach you with dynamic patterning. This is just your first foray into changing a field of geometry. So the other thing that I want to quickly get at, and this really relates more to your actual design assignment than anything else, is that once you have a pattern like this, it's really as simple as offsetting the surface and baking it out, and you've got something that you can use. You can make 2D it in Rhino. You can look at it and cut sections of it. You can make 2D it in an axonometric. So it's as simple as, here's your surface difference. All you have to do is go to I believe it's surface. Extrude. Yeah, surface freeform extrude. No, sorry. Do I want to do extrude? Yeah, I do. Because we already talked about normals, right? Surface normal? I think we did. Yeah. You'll remember it. We did. So extrude, it's actually not as simple. It's not as simple as I just sold it to be, but because I forgot that it's best to use the normal. It would be easy if I know that it's going to go directly in the Y direction, which it is, but I can't guarantee that. So I always say best practice is to use the surface normal. So anyway, using the extrude command, we're going to plug in the surface itself. So I plug this in here, and we have to give it a direction. So a direction, again, the direction is measured in vectors, and a vector has direction and magnitude. So it looks kind of like this. If we take the surface, we find the normal, we use the normal as the direction, and we input a numerical magnitude. It's that simple. And if you recall from our other exercise, it's under analysis, and it's these two right here, surface closest point and evaluate surface. So we do closest point, we do evaluate surface, and these, remember, they're a pair. They look like this. UVP plugs into UV. I'm going to group these for you so you can see them. Oops. So the UVP plugs into UV, and then we just basically plug our surface in here, our surface in here, and then we have to get the centroid, and we plug that in here. Okay, so this is a group that we've used before, and that gives us a surface normal. And there's one other thing we need to add to the surface normal in order for it to be modifiable with a slider. I know you guys are kind of falling behind, so just watch it and then I'll let you get caught up. It's just one sequence right here. So the next one that we need is amplitude. So we found the surface normal. We then have to amplify it with a slider, and then we plug it into the direction of the extrude. So we go to vector, vector, amplitude. And amplitude requires a vector input with an amplitude value. So I'm going to use the normal as my vector, and a slider from, say, 0 to 1.55 to 2. You can do anything that's just an inch or two, and plug that into A. So here's what all of that was for, was to plug in the vector to D. Oh, that's right, this is in feet. So it came out really thick, but let me convert that. So I need to go to math, operators, division. Wow, this is getting a lot longer than I thought. But anyway, division, we plug in a 12 to bring it back down to inches. Boom, plug that in. Now it is 1.55 inches. That's probably too thick, so I'm just going to do like 0.375. And there you have it. You've got a surface that has some thickness, and you can take that and bake it out onto a new layer, layer 5. And I will briefly hide all of this. I know I'm moving really fast, guys. I just want you to see how it's done here. So basically now my dynamic pattern exists in Rhino, and I can do some really cool, shots and stuff and take crazy angles like a Make 2D. Pull that off, perspective, top view. There it is. In perspective, a Make 2D with a dynamic pattern, a whole bunch of really crazy ellipses. The point I'm trying to make, guys, and the reason that I didn't want to stop so much in this video, is that imagine doing that manually. Right? Like, imagine doing that in Rhino or even in AutoCAD. It would take you forever to do that. So it's a super powerful tool, and in 10 minutes in 10 minutes you could theoretically go from having your pattern, plug it in, and then bake it out, as long as you got it calibrated correctly. So here's our sequence that we just did. What questions do you have? Did I lose any of you with that? Yeah. Was it just finding the normal stuff? Okay. See, that comes with time, and don't feel bad if you lost it on finding the normal. You're going to see all of that a lot. This whole block right here, except for the 12 part, we don't always have that. This happens a lot. In fact, I'm going to color it in red so that you won't lose it. There you go. That's very, very important. All right, so I'm going to come around and make sure you guys are okay before we take a break and then move on to other things.